The Great Lake divided the original migration route of the caribou that made an annual trek from the Baybird and northern peninsulas to the barren hills of Newfoundland's south coast. The caribou brought the Beothuk to the wilderness for food and clothing long before the settlement of coastal Newfoundland. The Great Lake, as the Beothuk called it, lay in the path of that migration route and divided the route into two directions. The caribou traveled the bogs, marshes, and open country over the topsail toward the eastern end of the Great Lake across the Exploit River between Badger and Millertown. Another, more western route took them across the Buckens Plateau to the western end of the Great Lake and south down Talk Valley, with another branch continuing on, crossing the eastern end of Lloyd's Lake and up Boulder Brook Valley to the open country of the south coast beyond the Annie-Hopscotch Mountains. As the St. John's merchants expanded their fishing rooms along the northeast coast and finally into Notre Dame Bay, the Beothuk retreated into the central Newfoundland wilderness as they tried to avoid conflict over the coastal fish and waterfowl on which they once survived. As the tribe diminished, this became increasingly difficult, and the conflict between the workers at the fishing rooms increased. Both groups struggled for existence over the same resource, while distant voices did nothing but discuss the protection of the fishing merchants. The ventures into the wilderness that started with Cartwright in 1768 were not for the protection of the Beothuk, but in an effort to exploit the Beothuk for king and country, as was the case everywhere in North America. In 1900, the large stand of white pine on the Great Lake shoreline brought Lewis Miller to the wilderness for profit. Far distant voices in search of clients for the newly completed Reed Newfoundland Railway brought the Scottish lumber baron Lewis Miller to the shores of Red Indian Lake, where on the shores of June's Cove he constructed a sawmill and on Sabbath Point built a town which he called Mary March Point. Without profit, economic ventures abandoned all communities they create, and distant voices again brought the Harmsworth to acquire the assets of the Reed lots with timber and water rights, and thus creating the Anglo-Newfoundland Development Company. Distant voices planned and implemented the Bay d'Espoir hydro project, and in the boardrooms and halls of Confederation Building, the water resources were diverted out of the region without jobs created for the four communities of the Red Indian Lake watershed. The Buckens Mining Company was the first mine to open in the region and lasted so long everyone considered it was a permanent town until it closed. Other ventures dot the landscape, and there are endless discussions on other mineral finds yet to be developed. The Talipon Duck Mine venture started and finished with no visible evidence existing in any of the regional communities. Environmental impact statement agreements that were to protect the environment and benefit communities became null and void in the halls of the Confederation Building. The only structure in Millertown left standing is a series of trailers used by the mining operation that has since depleted, and they abandoned the region. 100 years of logging in the Millertown Logging Division and the shutdown of the paper mill in Grand Falls. Logging now is done by non-resident companies. There is no sustainable planning for resource management that benefits the regional communities, and forest resources are traded to distant business interests that are never committed to the local economy in any long-term cooperative planning with mutual benefits. Wildlife management is passed around to different government departments with each change of government without any planned regional program developed to assure the region receives its direct share of revenue and a community voice in sustainable future planning. Hunters and outfitters are a transient group that arrive in the region under the cloak of darkness and lobby directly to the powers that be to protect personal interest without any cooperation for mutual interest or sustainable management. Just raise a vocal concern about any issue that adversely affects their interest. There are no protected areas of waterfowl habitat which need to be designated before the present expansion of cabin development and the registration of all present cabin owners contribute to the regional economy and not the government Department of Finance, while communities have to demand their fair share. In 2010, this type of proposed directed research into the merits of county governance was initiated with the Harris Centre for Rural Development regarding the merit of a collective community voice into all resource development and include jurisdiction over supervised implementation of all government department policies. Natural beauty of the Lloyds River escarpment should be protected before the road that connects the Buckens Highway to the Burgeo Highway is upgraded to a paved route through the central Newfoundland wilderness. During the past 5-year harvesting planning session by Abitibi to alleviate government concerns over the protection of the pine marten, Abitibi donated a section of the escarpment to the Nature Conservancy of Canada. Consideration should be given to the creation of a provincial or national park to include all of the Lloyds River Valley and the Lloyds Lake area, and restrict cabin development to maintain the natural beauty and scenic drive through the area. Then there is the unseen residents that have regional cabins that once numbered 3,000 on their Abitibi holdings. They demand to this day access to those retreats and contribute nothing to the local economy. Over 2,000 moose hunters traverse the region each year, and non-resident owners dominate the outfitter industry in the region, with no governance system to assure revenue to the local economy and maintenance of the infrastructure that allows them access to our regional resources. The Beothuk first watched as their resources became exploited, and now the community residents in the towns of Millertown, Buckens, Buckens Junction, and Badger, like the Beothuk, are spectators to the continuous corporate exploitation of the wilderness and its resources, without the cooperative determination to have a voice or a greater say and receive future recognition by those who bring them to the region when they need it and will be here after they are gone.